Hey, this is Greg again, and we're back into the preparedness series. Now, today we're going to be talking about water storage. Now, like I said in the beginning, my goal for you is to help you to develop a plan where you can be prepared for most of the events that you'll ever encounter. My goal is for you to be able to be prepared for about 10 days. And like I said, we're talking about water. But I've been doing a little bit of research on the thing, and I want to make you a promise right here. I'm not trying to sell you anything. If I can figure out a way for you to be prepared and you not spend a dime, I'm going to do it. Now, there are going to be some things that you're going to have to spend some money on, but I'm going to try to figure out a way to where you have to spend as little as possible on it. With that said, we're talking about water again. What if I told you there was a way for you to come up with a basic level of preparedness and not have to spend a dime? Especially, at least with water anyway. Well, it's the truth. According to the experts, you should store about a gallon of water per person per day. So for us, for a 10-day event, that's 40 gallons. That's a lot of water. But if you do it little pieces at a time, it doesn't seem insurmountable until you look at it later. And then I think it looks impressive. Now, I'm not going to talk about water filters today. There's a lot of other people out there that talk about them, and I may do some reviews on some of them in the future. I've reviewed one that I have in my backpack in the past. Just kind of a demonstration, didn't really review it. But right now we're talking about in your home. 40 gallons of water in our case is going to take up a decent little bit of room. But if you do it right, it takes up a lot less than you'd think it would. Now, how do you do this and not spend any money? If you drink soda, then you've probably bought some 2 liters or even 3 liters. They still make a few of those. And a 2-liter bottle is right at a half gallon. It's actually a little better than a half gallon. So each one of these is a half gallon of water. This is half a day's worth of water for one person. If you don't drink soda, I bet you know somebody who does. Or maybe you know somebody that drinks some of those pre-bottled waters, teas, you know, in the gallon jugs. Now, there's a warning there. Don't use a milk jug. Milk jugs are brittle, and they get really brittle really quickly. They break down. So you want something that is designed to hold something that's acidic, like a soda, like a tea. They're thicker plastic. They're built to be able to handle pressure, especially those that are carbonated. So they last a heck of a lot longer. Rinse them out real good. Fill them up with water. Put a cap on them. Find a dark spot. Dark spot's important. And stick it in there. Every time that you scrummage or use another bottle, top off another one. Stick it in there. Now, you're going, that's going to be a lot of floor space. Well, it doesn't have to be. These things stack really stinking well. I was going to bring several out and show you, but I decided against it. I've got it in our old house, which is now a storage building. Got it in the closet, that way it's dark. After you get so many in, then you take I took a 1x12. You can take whatever you've got around. Just a piece of plywood actually works real good too if you got a piece of plywood. You stick it on top, and then you start stacking it up, and then you stick another one up there, and you stack it up, and you stick till you got you a tower of water. Now, there will be some people that'll tell you that you have to empty these things out every 6 months. And for flavor, that's probably true. But for safety of drinking, it's not. It's safe, except for, you know, if you're worried about the, what was it, BHP or BPA? BPA. If you're worried about that, make sure that the bottles that you use are marked BPA free. Now, if you're really paranoid about microbes and things, then when you do this, you can put you 1 drop to 2 drops of natural, plain bleach in here, and it'll kill any nasties that might accidentally be left in your water. Now, that means that you have to trust your municipal water source, of course. I do know folks that they go to the, Crystal Springs, or the big jugs of water that you can buy at your department stores, and they just buy a bottle of it every so often and they just throw it in there. Well, that's not a bad idea. Those things are 2.5 to 5 gallons a piece, depending on which one you get. And they're not overly expensive. And they stack really well, again. So, water shouldn't be that big a deal, but you should get started. When I was a kid, whenever there was a bad storm coming, my mother would fill up the bathtub as soon as we knew that the storm was coming. Now, we were on well water, so if the power went out, we didn't have other power in order to supply the well until the power came back on. Back then, solar panels wasn't that widely spread, and we didn't know enough to be able to run the well off of the vehicle, which hey, that's a good idea. I'm going to cover that later on. That's a good idea. Okay? So we did that. We had our water stored for drinking and stuff. Then we filled up the bathtub and we used it to flush the toilet and do whatever cleaning we had to do while the power was out. So that's another thought. If a storm's coming, fill up your tub. That'll help extend the storage of your water, because then you'll only be having to use it for drinking. Okay? Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I know this wasn't the most exciting one, but I hope you learned something from it. And we're going to keep going. Step by step, we're bringing rural back. Have a great day. Bye-bye.